Good morning, Wellspring. Welcome to the second Sunday of Advent. My name is Judy Bethman, and I'm part of your Sunday celebration team. I want to welcome you to our virtual Sunday service for December 13th, 2020. Actually, it's not only virtual, it's live. So this is a hybrid service. Remember, you can always find the link to our Sunday virtual service on our website, www.wellspringnow.com. All right. Please join us for the Song of Joy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Taylor and Mark. Now, let us read together our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. Our affirmation: I am open and receptive to the flow of all good in every aspect of my life. Every component of my body operates in alignment with the divine blueprint. I give and receive harmony and love in all of my relationships. Divine abundance flows in, through, and around me, filling everyone in my life. And so it is. Okay, today's invocation. Let's sit back. Everybody take a deep breath in. Let the cares of the world just drain out of your body. And let us invoke the great spirit of the universe. As we take our next breath in, that spirit fills our body and our soul and our mind, which is all unified into one great mind. We accept this with great knowledge that it is so, placing this in the law and releasing it. And with this we say, and so it is. Okay, today's reading comes from 365 Science of Mind. It's a daily spiritual guide, and they're not very long, and that's sort of why I like them, because I could just turn to whatever date we're on and spend 30 seconds reading. And so this is in our bookstore if you're interested in the 365 daily readings of Science of Mind. I'm going to read from the February 26th date. The title is, I Make Intelligent Use of Universal Laws. There was a scripture here from Kings. I have given thee a wise and understanding heart. The universe is impersonal. It gives alike to all. It is no respecter of persons. It values each alike. The philosopher, the priest, and the professor, the humanitarian, and the empire builder all have caught some gleam of eternal God. The word of knowledge needs to be knit together and not pulled apart. The road to freedom lies not through mysteries, but through the intelligent use of natural sources and forces and laws. We do not create laws and principles, but discover and make use of them. Our mind and spirit is our echo of the eternal thing itself, and the sooner we realize this fact, the sooner we will be made free and happy. I'm going to say that again. Our mind and spirit is an echo of the eternal thing itself. And the sooner we realize this fact, the sooner we will be made free and happy. Don't we all agree that the world is tired of mysteries, does not understand symbols, and longs for reality? We should take truth wherever we find it, making it our very own. Intellectual freedom and religious liberty are necessary to the unfolding in the spirit of humans. All right, we have our guest music, which is our wonderful Mark and Taylor.
Thank you. So, yes, it is. We are all the way mid-December now, fully in the holiday season. So we're going to do a couple of Christmas songs for you today. So the first one is, Do You Hear What I Hear? Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? the trees with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace warm, mighty king, do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. The child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light.
Thank you, Mark and Taylor. That was just lovely. Well, it is my great pleasure to introduce some of our homegrown talent. No, not a hayseed, no. A person that, without whom Wellspring would not have survived. So at this time, please welcome Dr. Edward Burlbaw.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Judy, for your reading. It fits right in with today's topic. It isn't quite Christmas, so today's topic is on the law, whatever that may be, right? But as kind of an introduction from sort of our New Thought basics, we know there's one power and presence in the world, which we call God or Spirit. God is all there is. So we are, by nature, a part of God, filled with and surrounded by God. As we become conscious of this truth, we join in partnership with God to influence our lives for good, whether for improved health, finances, relationships, or simple happiness. We do this by learning what the spiritual laws are that govern the universe and how to work with them to accomplish our needs, wants, and goals. So that's where one place where the law is used in our philosophy. And many of you have heard, and even today in the invocation you heard, but in spiritual mind treatments, we often say, we release this prayer into the law and know it is already done, or something along those lines. And so that's another reference we make to law. And so today we'll investigate what this spiritual law thing is and discuss a few of them. But first, let's talk about law in general and physical laws. So if we go to the dictionary and we ask the dictionary, which doesn't speak, of course, what it says about law, the first definition is more the civil definition, which is a binding custom or practice of a community. And then there's the biblical sense of law, and it says the revelation of the will of God set forth in the Old Testament. And then there's a scientific definition, a statement of an order or relation of phenomena that so far as is known is invariable under given conditions. And the most famous law of all that, or shall we say famous in the sense that it's always quoted, is the law of gravity, right? And there are other ones such as thermodynamics and things like that. So those are the scientific and physical laws. And after saying all that, none of these are what we're talking about. But we'll move on anyway, yeah. Physical laws are typically conclusions based on repeated scientific experiments and observations over many years and which have become accepted universally within the scientific community. So how certain are laws? Because this is one of the characteristics of a law, is there is a certain amount of certainty to them, right? So under the same conditions, the same result will occur. Again, think about gravity. And we're going to revisit this with respect to spiritual laws. Of course, you knew I was going to do that. But before we go on to that, let's turn it around a little bit. And you've probably all heard of, I think it's attributed to Einstein, his definition of insanity. It says, doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome or result. All right? So if you're operating in the realm of law and you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. If you do the same thing and expect a different result, you know, you may have an opinion about what the law is, but the law doesn't care, right? Both physical and spiritual laws are impersonal in that sense, and they don't care about your opinion or whether or not you respect them. If you say, well, I don't really like the law of gravity, that's just somebody else's idea, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. If you jump up, you're going to come down, right? There's no alternatives. And if you insist on thinking it's different, you're probably delusional, or if nothing else, the floor will come up and hit you, if you want to define it that way. So now there's a little more to what makes universal laws tick. Let me start over. There's more that makes the universe tick than the laws of physics. But the same God who established the physical laws also established a set of spiritual laws that are just as real and just as important. So now we're going to turn to spiritual laws. Someone once asked Holmes, he says, is the term divine law, as used by religious scientists, synonymous with mind or with God? And his answer was, the term divine law is synonymous with the universal subjective law. God as spirit is synonymous with universal intelligence in a conscious state, while divine law is subjective and is never consciously conscious. It is never self-knowing, but it is always self-doing. It knows how to do, but not what it is doing. As an example, the soil knows how to grow corn or wheat or anything else, but it doesn't know that it's growing corn. And we also have another expression that we said, the law always says yes, right? So if you plant the seed in the soil says, I got the nutrients here, yes. So moving on a little bit, some of us or some folks may say that spiritual laws can't be proven like physical laws can. But I would say maybe you want to, if you can't live with the word proven, let's say they can be demonstrated or validated through personal experience. So part of the difficulty in proving spiritual laws is that their success or failure appears to depend on many factors, some of which, again, opinion, are within our control and some beyond. Some factors are known and some factors are unknown. And it seems they do not always happen in a predictable manner or in a definite time frame. And a lot of times in spiritual mind treatments, we do talk about a couple things. One, we frequently say this or something better. And the other thing is we know that it happens in Spirit's time, not necessarily in our time. Because they are governed by several conditions and forces which we may not yet fully understand. So hence our difficulty in establishing their universality or inviolability. And some of these factors that fit into that include the mental state, the level of expectation, that's a good one, strength of commitment, degree of faith, and conviction and integrity of the person who practices them. A lot of times we talk about, on Sunday or maybe in the morning we do our affirmative prayer for something, and then by 10 o'clock later in the morning, we're already negating what it was we did our affirmation about. So that kind of fits in there. So if you said, gee, I said it this morning, it didn't happen, by 10 o'clock, I I erased it all, and by 5 o'clock it didn't happen for sure. But those are the kinds of things that could have an impact on it. And in general, we have little understanding of what energies and invisible forces are involved in the manifestation of it. Our higher mental states and subconscious mind play an important role in their successful execution. And these are not under control of the subconscious mind. Again, when we kind of have the monkey mind in there negating our affirmation, we gotta get that under control, so to speak. However, I think we're all familiar with the book and the movie called The Secret. And we've also, even from this podium, spoken of the books by Pam Grout. She has something called E squared and E to the third, in which she describes a number of energy experiments, as she calls them, to prove to ourselves how to use, and that we can use, the energy of the universe we live in. So I kind of think this could be thought of as addressing some aspects of spiritual law, the use of energy, right? So addressing this as well, Holmes was asked, can the same results be obtained by anyone using the law of mind and spirit without any previous knowledge of the law? And his answer was, most certainly. The law of mind and spirit is a universal law, and we are all using it every moment. And we've also talked about this. We said that we're always creating, whether we're aware of it or not. And that kind of feeds into be aware of what you're thinking, because your thinking is still creating. So I did a little research on the internet, and I thought there's bound to be some place that tells me very clearly what the spiritual laws are. And since I said that, so you can find references to the 7 spiritual laws, and elsewhere there are the 12 spiritual laws, and maybe even more. Never mind, or never worry, I'm not going to discuss all of them, just a few of them. And the way I do this I'm probably going to be combining a couple of those laws, and I may be combining a couple of the laws that you think of as separate laws. And I certainly am not, I'm combining some of the 12 and some of the 7, and I've left out some of them, and who cares? Today I'm going to talk about 4. And it could either be laws or categories of law if you want. And the first one is the law of circulation, prosperity, and abundance. The law of attraction is the second one I'm going to talk about, and something that's called the law of correspondence or creative visualization. And you'll recognize that, of course. And the last one is, who could talk about the law without this one, right? What is it? The law of cause and effect, or karma, right? Okay, that could work too. I know I was looking at you for one of Judy's tenets. So the first law we're going to discuss, like I said, is the law of circulation, which also includes prosperity and abundance. The idea is that circulation encourages a right relationship to the flow of life through a balanced approach to giving, receiving, asking, forgiving, and gratitude. And it's said that giving activates the law of circulation, and it kind of makes sense. So the spiritual practice of conscious giving is an invitation to deepen our connection with Spirit and know that its infinite good is already within us, to give with an open, joyful, loving heart and grow by stretching our consciousness in the area of giving. In the words of Ernest Holmes again, there is an infinite law of the Spirit, or law of life, which tends to multiply our gifts, because in so doing it multiplies its own experience, its own pleasure, its own fruition. So in other words, we are avenues of divine distribution, and Spirit experiences the fruits of its givingness through us. So just pause for a moment and feel, how much closer to abundance can we get than when we are sharing divine abundance with others? It might be called extending abundance. Just like we talk about extending love, extending abundance. But no matter what you call it, I say that whatever you do, or whenever you do it, some of it's going to rub off on us, right? Now, Edwene Gaines is probably the most well-known speaker, author, and example of giving. And she has a book, very well-known again. It's called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, a simple guide to unlimited abundance. And her first law is tithing and giving, and the other 3 laws build on that. Now, the law of circulation is sometimes called the law of givingness, which incorporates the component or concept of receiving. So here's a thought. Can you accept the gifts of Spirit for yourself? Do you think you are worthy to receive all that Spirit is offering? Do you deserve prosperity and abundance? Yes, you do, and so do I. So the second law is the law of attraction. And that demonstrates how we create things, events, and people that come into our lives. Our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energies which in turn attract like energies. So negative energies attract negative energies, and positive energies attract positive energies. And again, the book and the movie The Secret talks about this a lot. Now, you remember that old saying, and I'll only tell you the second half, and I'm sure you remember the first half, but it's fruit flies like a banana, right? Okay, so if you are putting out a vibration that attracts fruit flies, they will come, just for example. And the same goes for other aspects of your life or other definitions of what you might be putting out. There's that book that's called Why Is This Happening to Me Again by Michael Rice. And I won't go into much details on that. We've talked about that before, and some of you are quite familiar with it. But as it relates to this, I'm going to say it's not that the outer world keeps impressing on us the same challenges. We will continue to have the same experiences until we change our vibration, overcome the hang-up, dissolve the energy block, whatever word you want to use for it. And you can also look from it more positively, because a lot of times when we think about lessons, you know, this is that stuff that we attract and we have to deal with, and it's just horrible. But yes, we will continue to attract stuff to ourselves until we remember what magnificent beings we are. And we can let go of anything less than that. So that's the purpose of stuff. It's not to beat you down. So according to this law, we know that like attracts like. Therefore, you can only achieve your goals in life when you can work out a way to vibrate on the same frequency as your life's desires. Therefore, we can see the importance of aligning our thoughts and emotions with the things we want to do or become in our lives. The third law, the law of correspondence or creative visualization. This universal law also says that the principles of the laws of physics that explain the physical world, energy, light, vibration, and motion, have their corresponding principles in the etheric or in the universe, as above, so below. So Holmes was asked what is meant by the law of correspondence. He says the law of correspondence is meant that there must be a subjective correspondence for every objective fact. The cause of all objective things exists in the field of subjectivity, and for everything which transpires in the objective world, there is an exact corresponding cause in the mental or spiritual world. This world responds by corresponding through a law of reflection inherent within itself. And I just briefly mentioned that concept is instantiated in the Science of Mind logo with the V and the different lines and so forth, talking about how the mental impresses on the physical. Emmett Fox coined a phrase, the mental equivalent, and some of you are very familiar with this in this terminology. Its use would be that for anything you want in your life, be it a healthy body, a satisfactory job, friends, opportunities, you must furnish a mental equivalent. Supply yourself with a mental equivalent and the thing must come to you. Without a mental equivalent, it cannot come. This is Emmett Fox still speaking here, not me. Now, as to the things in your life that you would like to be rid of, if we rid our mind of the mental equivalent of them, they must go. My speaking is, if the energy that's been feeding these things is withheld or withdrawn, then they dry up. And we know how growth and death works. So if you have something in your life that you don't like, cut off the energy, to it. And another way of taking care of that is to spend all of your time focusing on what it is you do want. All right, so number 4, law is the law of cause and effect, or karma. And it's also one of the most widely applied spiritual laws applied in the spiritual world, or in the physical world, especially when it comes to the administration of justice, right? Another way we talk about this is nothing happens by chance or outside of the universal laws, and every action, including thought, has a reaction or consequence. We reap what we sow. Every action gets an equal reaction. Choices have consequences, yada, yada. You know that. I think in general we perceive karma, or the law of cause and effect, and especially when we call it karma, to be kind of a negative law, or at least somehow the outcomes might be negative. But karma refers to the day-to-day actions and the negative or positive obligations that come about from these actions. So the word karma really means action, word or deed. It also refers to the spiritual principle of cause and effect, which we just said, where intent and actions of an individual cause or influence the future of that individual. That's the effect. And this is now, I'm sort of quoting along the Buddhist line, is good intent and good deeds contribute to good karma and happier rebirths, while bad intent and bad deeds contribute to bad karma and bad rebirths. Okay. You don't have to believe in reincarnation to know that karma still operates. In Buddhism, karma in the present affects one future in the current life as well as future lives. And Reverend Sam Ritchie had an expression that I thought was pretty cute and appropriate. It says, "Today is yesterday's newspaper." Now, probably in some respects we misuse, or we enjoy misusing, the law of karma more than any of the others. As an example, I'm going to say, how many times have we said to the person who went speeding past us on the freeway, "Must be going 90 miles an hour. I hope you get a ticket." Right? This is knocking that kid with that guy with karma. Anyway, you know, there's a long, I mean, you can take that a number of different ways, but I'm just my opinion there, that frequently we use karma as a club rather than something else. Another way of looking at the law of cause and effect can be applied to mean that your spiritual life affects your physical life, or your physical environment affects your spiritual life. Because the two dimensions are kind of interconnected anyway. But I know for myself that my attitude is a little bit more subdued when I'm tired, for example. And I mean, that's just a real simple example of how the physical body is doing affects my mood, if you will. And another way is that since we're all basically one creation, how you vibrate in one realm might even affect other people's realities in a different realm or in the same realm. Now, I also read that karma was one of the most loving of the spiritual laws. And I thought, what the heck? How so, do you say? So let's go back to why we are in this life. Holmes says it's to gain soul experience. Others might say it's to extend love, or we might say it's to let our light shine. Be an example for others. We're here to remember who we really are, which is spiritual beings having a human experience. Maybe it's to help others to discover who they really are. To me, every one of these reasons or goals can be better achieved when I'm a clear channel for Spirit, so that Spirit can act through me without my impressing on it my opinions or my beliefs or my gunk. So I'd say, how better can we be all those things that we just talked about than to clean up the energy blockages that we've created by our past thoughts or actions? And we think of karma as obligations. If we release our past obligations, again, we can be much clearer. So, just to review, we've covered 4 laws today: the law of circulation, prosperity, and abundance, the law of attraction, the law of correspondence or creative visualization, and the law of cause and effect or karma. We shouldn't think of laws as oppressive, but as helpful suggestions and tools that will help us unfold and remember the magnificent beings we truly are. So I can imagine the God, Spirit, the divine, universal consciousness saying, "Yes, my beloved, you are free to do anything you want." And do you notice how much better it feels when you are extending love rather than hate? And so it is. So let's just have a little affirmative prayer now, and we just relax and close your eyes, put your feet on the floor if you so choose. And as we always start, we are so grateful to be here in this philosophy, this understanding, in this community of like-minded individuals that support each and every one of us in our path. We know that God is all there is. Spirit, the divine, the universe plus, universal mind, whatever you choose to call it, is all there is. It was in the beginning, and everything else is derived from that. Everything else is a creation of that oneness. And as a creation of that oneness, we have those same attributes. We too are creators. We are masters of our destiny. And so, from this sense of knowing this and this sense of power, we turn our mind to our loved ones in our community first and in our families, maybe going through situations right now because of the COVID, because of just life, that could use a little support. Maybe each of us, any one of us, could use a little support. So we just take this joy and this peace and this power, and we see each of us, we see our community, we see our friends and family, we see those on our prayer list just enveloped in this oneness. This oneness may feel like a warmth. It may feel like a bright light. It may feel like love. It may feel like joy. We just know that this oneness is surrounding all. Everyone we think of, every situation we see, we know that it is part and a piece of that divine plan. And it is good. It is all good. So we just give thanks again for this knowingness and for this opportunity that each of us has to be here today and to raise the collective consciousness, not only of ourselves, but our community, but of the world. And as we raise that consciousness, we know that it is just providing a beacon for everyone to find their own inner divinity. So we just collect all this stuff up and place it in the hands of God. We place it into the law. We know that it is being acted on even as we think of it. As soon as we think of it, it is being acted on. We can release it, we can let go, we can breathe easy, knowing that God is on the job. The universe has our back, and it is good, and it is wonderful, and it is joyful. And so it is. I think we have some more music.
Thank you so much for those words, Ed. So Mark and I were looking through some holiday music, and we were having a really hard time narrowing it down because there are so many that we really like. So we're doing a little medley of a couple of them, and if you would like to sing along with us, we love that. We're doing Winter Wonderland and Let It Snow. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job while you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is oh so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, it doesn't show signs of stopping, and we brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Thank you very much. Well, I have a few announcements. Obviously, we're meeting at the church, and if you wish to attend in person, only come if you are well, and remember to wear a mask and social distance. We will continue with our Zoom church until the pandemic is gone. Let's hope. But please stay healthy. Wellspring has joined the other New Thought churches for a December service project, Holiday Greetings. An estimated 1,000 residents currently live in 19 long-term care facilities. Because of the pandemic, visits were canceled and activities were severely curtailed. During the holidays, this lack of warm interaction has caused residents to fail to thrive. So, send or drop off your Christmas cards to Andrea Ferrales Navarez, Doniana Sheriff's Office, Las Cruces 88007. Our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. We have a submit a prayer request button on our webpage, or you may contact Martha Ward or Geneva Collins with your request. That information is also on our website at www.wellspringnow.com. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoon at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. Wellspring has always been a tithing community, and 10% of what we receive goes directly to most local charities. This fourth quarter, we tithed $1,000 to La Casa and $200 to Family and Youth, Inc. During these difficult times, families are under great stresses, both emotionally and monetarily. Please keep them in your prayers. During this time of virtual services, we thank you for your continuing spirit of giving. We ask that you mail your offerings to Wellspring Church, P.O. Box 1533, Las Cruces, New Mexico 88004, or you can use the very convenient donate button on our website to make a donation. We give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We bless these gifts and know that they are multiplied throughout our community. Early Birds meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is on the weekly email and on the website. December speakers are Edward will continue speaking next Sunday, and the last Sunday of the month we have Elena Hoffman-Smith. We had planned a Christmas sing-along, which came off very well last Friday night, and it was a great success, and everybody enjoyed singing, even though it was through masks. Thanks to all for planning that. Also, a hybrid Christmas Eve service combined with all the other New Thought churches in Las Cruces will be at 4:30. We will have more details to follow. There are a number of folks who've contributed to the production of this service. We are grateful for their service, and we thank you for joining us today. And last but not least, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit each other. This is an important emotional and spiritual connection that we need. All right. Please stand and read the benediction with me. Spirit is in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is. And now our peace song.